You are my yellow, you are my green, the most beautiful brown.
Her music has no borders, shifting smoothly from soul to blues to folk and more.
Down on my knees, I'm begging you. Down on my knees, I'm begging
Since success with that song, Ayu has made 6 albums, and the singer-songwriter's now re-releasing her latest record, Royal, with some extra tracks. Her name means joy in Yoruba, and it matches her music. Ayu, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Now, let's start with this new record. This is the deluxe edition of Royal. You originally released the album at the beginning of 2020, at a time when none of us knew what a scary, strange year we were going to go through.
Yes.
That first version was luminous, filled with love and hope. How has the record been modified or changed by what's happened in between?
You know, it has been changed in a I would say still a hopeful way, because during COVID, for me, it felt like it was, you know, like a testing period. Like I felt like, oh my God, what am I going to do now? 2 months prior to the release of the record, and we were supposed to go on tour, and all this, everything is happening. And for me, the only good thing about it was, or one of the good things about it was that I got to spend more time with my children, and I was able to write a lot more songs, and which some of them are on the new deluxe version now.
Indeed, you added some extra tracks, and one of them is I'll Be Right Here, featuring Kezia Jones. Let's take a listen.
when nobody calls you,
when nobody picks up,
everyone's moving fast,
nobody stops.
when nobody's there,
When you need a friend,
nobody's shoulder,
nobody's hand.
I'll be right here.
Now, listening to those lyrics, nobody listens, nobody cares. It does echo some of the isolation that some people felt during those lockdowns around the world. Has it been, you know, a tough time for you? What got you through? What was consoling to you?
And for me, it was the ocean. I'm so lucky that I live in Portugal, and my passion is, other than music, is surfing. And so I spend most of my time in the water. And I was very lucky as well to be stuck in, I was stuck in Tahiti. They locked down the borders when I was there. Initially, I was supposed to stay for 2 weeks, but I ended up staying for 5 months.
And that's a place to do some surfing.
That's such a blessing, you know.
Amazing. So you got to see nature. Now, we can hear a little bit of the acoustic guitar that you're so associated with in that track with Kezia Jones. But it's a lot less present on this record generally. There's been a real focus on your voice.
Yes.
Why that shift?
For me, it was important to be able to use my voice like a real main instrument, because the guitar or the piano or the drums, usually when people play those instruments, you know, you're a guitarist and you play the guitar and you can give 100%. When you sing a songwriter, it's always like 50-50 or 70-30, you know, depending. But you never be able to do 100% on both instruments. So for me, it was important for once in my career, to be able to use my voice like a real instrument.
And we hear that. Now, here in France, your music has been known and loved by many for about 15 years now. You came to see us here at France 24 10 years ago, around the release of your third album, Belie, where you told us about taking a new approach to music. Here's a blast from the past. Let's take a look.
This time it felt like on this record, I really did what I really wanted to do. And I was not trying to be careful. You know, sometimes you, as an artist, you can think like, if you have your first record out, then you do the second one, then the third one comes. It's always like, should I do this? Because if I do that, maybe people don't get it. Maybe you have so many questions. But all of a sudden, I didn't ask myself anymore, because all I wanted to do was I wanted to really please myself and really do what I felt was right.
A while back then. Now, it's interesting to hear you point out there that it took you a couple of records to assert yourself, to do your own thing. And your music has always felt very personal, a sort of emotional release. Is it a sort of therapy for you?
It's definitely very therapeutic for me, music. I guess that's the reason why I started writing songs, because I always felt the need to express my deeper emotions, you know. But now it's more than that. It's as well. It's not just therapeutic for myself, to myself. I think I understood that it's actually a very healing tool, and what might seem like it's my story might not only be my story, but the story of many others. And it's music is so much more. You can become a voice for the voiceless as well, you know.
Absolutely. There's the personal growth of an individual, and like you say, others as well. There's also the question of self-image, how we see ourselves. That's something you tackle on another track from the album Royal. This is Beautiful.
Let my fro grow back and wear fist to comb instead, and put on a shirt that's set black and proud. Beautiful, oh, just the way you are, you are. Beautiful, oh, you are. Beautiful, just the way you are, you are. Beautiful, oh, you are. Beautiful, just the way you are, you are. Beautiful.
You're singing there that you wanted your hair straight, that you were rejecting your natural look. You wanted a different image of yourself, but you have come to accept yourself for who you are. And this is a question that's sadly often directed at women. But do you feel that there's more pressure today in terms of appearances?
Oh my God, yes, I do. I feel that today we live in a world that has become so filtered that it's almost impossible to step out and just be you and feel like just being you is enough. It's becoming harder and harder, you know. There's a treatment for everything, and if you can't treat your stretch marks in real life, you can do it on the picture via a Photoshop, or, you know, I feel like everything is taking us further and further away from who we truly are, and I think it's very important to most of all learn to love yourself before anybody else can love you. I think you have to love and appreciate yourself.
An important counter message there. Now, another song on the album deals with something very serious. It's a cover of Maxime Le Forestier's Né quelque part, Born Somewhere. It's about inequality and how where you're born can affect your rights, your destiny. And I believe it's something you've experienced in your own family in terms of getting a visa to travel in and out of the United States.
Yes.
What happened there?
My daughter was denied permission of re-entrance, and when they were well aware that I had to travel, we were living in the US, and I had to travel to go on tour. I had to leave the US. I was waiting for my green card, and so was my daughter. But the problem was that they gave me the permission of re-entrance, and they gave it to my son, but they didn't give it to my daughter. So how is the family supposed to deal with it?
Who was under 18, I should imagine.
Yeah, she was at that time, she was just 7 years old. So, you know, it's crazy. It's and I felt like if this is happening to me, and I can consider myself blessed enough to be able to have traveled the world and to be able to usually have easy access and, you know, go to all the countries that I want to go to, because as a musician, it's pretty easy to get the right visa. But then what about all the others that are not musicians, that, you know, that have families and they're being separated for a stupid document that could have been issued in less than 5 minutes.
That's when the political becomes very personal.
Yes, exactly.
You know? Human rights have long been a concern of yours. They featured in some of your songs in the past. And even here in Europe, questions like the migrant crisis, something that you've encountered face-to-face, touring. As an artist, do you feel like it's your duty to talk about those sort of things?
It is most definitely my duty to talk about those things, because I don't believe that a blessing comes for any shallow kind of reason, you know. And I say shallow because I think we're surrounded by shallowness, and we don't need more of that. I think it's important to talk about, you know, the injustice of this world, like what just happened in Calais, as an example. I was there a few days ago and played a concert there. Just sitting on the couch and waiting to get to do the interview with you, it broke my heart looking at those images, you know. And I don't understand it. And if I don't speak about it, then I feel like I'm supporting it, you know. And I think we all have to do something about it. It's not right that this is still happening. It's not normal. It's not normal.
And as you say, giving your voice there to people who are perhaps voiceless. Now, finally, we asked you for a cultural tip, and you pointed us in the direction of an actor who impressed you recently, Lakeith Stanfield. Tell us what it is about him and his performance that really grabbed you.
What I love about him is the fact that he's so much himself, you know, because usually actors, when you act, I mean, you have to act, you put on an act, but he doesn't necessarily do that all the way. He does and he doesn't, because in every role he plays, I can still see him. And that to me makes a great actor. That's the difference between a great actor and, you know, I would say regular actor. He's incredible. His personality is very interesting. And the way he approaches a role, the roles he plays, the characters he takes on, it's just amazing.
Okay, definitely one for me to look up then, since I'm not familiar. Ayo, thank you so much for joining us in the studio today.
Thank you so much.
Now, Ayo will be on tour with songs from that album Royal at the end of this year and at the beginning of 2022. We'll leave you with a clip of some of Lakeith Stanfield's latest work, The Harder They Fall, which you can also catch on Netflix. Otherwise, remember to check out our website and our social media for more arts and culture. There's more news coming up on France 24 just after this.
A new day is dawning. Slow.
Kisses on the head of an angel. Sins of the Father, don't trust about became you. Faithful to the end. Bullets with your names drew. Cock back, aim, shoot. Bang.
I don't particularly enjoy violence. That being said, you are currently in company of extremely violent individuals.
Jump, mother.
She ain't gonna end well for you. Really?
May 13, 1985, Philadelphia, the cradle of American independence and freedom. A police helicopter drops a bomb on a group of activists advocating the return to nature and the end of capitalism, known as the Move. That day, 11 people were killed, including 5 children.
The whole block looked like like we were in a war zone, you know? It was terrible.
Ever held accountable, charged for murdering our family, and trust me, it is murder. It wasn't an accident.
36 years later, the police of Philadelphia still deny this version of events. A look back at a forgotten story in Revisited on France 24 and France24.com.